So in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to create a mug with a face on it. So in my class, we do ugly mugs. So this mug example has an ugly human expression, but it is still functional. I can still use it. This mug that I'm working on right here is going to be Santa Claus. So it's not going to be as ugly as it is going to be cute. But I've already started it, well, mostly because I thought I was recording a video and turns out I wasn't. So I'll just kind of walk you through what I've done. So to start, I have a cylindrical mug here. So this is just a round circle with a rectangular slab attached to it. If you haven't done that yet, and if you'd like to work along with me, I have a video that shows you how to do that. So pause this video right now. I want you to go and work on that. Once you have that done, the next thing that you need to think about is bone structure. So if you think about an actual human, the eyes are sunk in, and we've got the cheeks, the bridge of the nose, and the chin are all pushed out. So if you can see mine, it's not very hugely noticeable, but I went through, I added some water and I went through to the inside. So the inside here, I pushed out where my cheeks are going to be. And Santa's got kind of a round face, so I might even make it a little bit rounder. You can see that starting to get pushed out. I pushed out the forehead, I pushed in the eye sockets, and I pushed out the chin. And then where the mouth is, I went ahead and pushed that in. Okay, so now to make the nose, I started off with a chunk of clay and I rolled out a coil. And depending on, if you're doing a nose like this, you can get creative with it. But I always start noses off the same. I start them off with a coil that is tapered. So it's skinnier on top than it is on the bottom. Now I'm gonna take the bottom and I'm gonna tap it nice and flat to show the bottom of the nose. And then I like to flatten this top. And then I just like to play around with whatever design I want for the bottom of the nose. I like to think about, what an actual human's nose looks like. So we have this top part that sticks out more, and then we've got these nostrils that flare out from the bottom, okay? So we've got something along the lines of this. Maybe you want to go through, I want to flatten this a little more since I would be attaching it on. Maybe you want to go through, you want to add some nostrils. Real nostrils are not perfect circles, so if you want to get real accurate with it, you could make those into a little more like oval shapes, okay? I could add a big bump on the nose. I could add a wart on the side. I could do whatever I want. And then I slipped and scored this on, and just like a human nose, I made sure that it was all smoothed in on the sides and the top. I want this to feel as real as it can. Okay. Now, the next thing that I worked on was the eyes. And with the eyes, a big mistake that I see people make is I see people roll out a big ball of clay. Maybe they put a pupil in it and they just attach it on the sides. That would be a pretty good ugly mug. But it sticks so far off of the outside. So what I did is I rolled up a little ball of clay. And I just cut it in half because I'm attaching this on here and I didn't want it to stick out too much. So I've just cut it in half, okay? And I've slipped and scored it on there, so now I'm to that step. So I want to make this more realistic, so I like to include eyelids. And this is Santa, so Santa's gonna have a lot of wrinkles. So I have his eye bags are pretty predominant there. You could certainly smooth that in. But to start off, or to make the wrinkles for the eyes, I'm just going to start off with a slab. And I shouldn't even just say the wrinkles, I should just say the eyelids in general. If we think about what eyelids are, they're basically like flaps of skin that cover the top and bottom of our eyes. So that's what we're gonna recreate out of clay. So I'm starting off, I'm just making myself a little slab here. I could roll this out with a rolling pin if I wanted to get really technical with it, but that's probably gonna be about good. My clay's starting to get a little dry, so I'm adding some water to it. And then cut this in half. Half will be the bottom, half will be the top. So I'm gonna start with the top here, and I like to cut the part that would be like the opening of the eye. I like to cut that at a little bit of an angle, maybe even a little more. And it's always so hard once you make the first eye. Like, I'm really happy with my first eye. It's gonna be hard to recreate that. So then I'm gonna hold this up, and that looks pretty good actually. It's a little bit big over here. I might cut a little bit off of the side. There, okay. And now I'm actually not going to slip and score this on. Normally I say you have to slip and score everything on, but because I'm gonna be doing so much smoothing, I'm gonna skip that part. So now I'm gonna take some, before I attach it, I wanna make this feel thin like an eyelid. So I'm going to smooth this over, and it helps to attach it when it's really nice and wet. So now I wanna make sure this is pretty even. Now if one eye was gonna be like winking or something, you could, you know, play around with that. And then I'm just gonna take, and I'm gonna use my clay tool, and I want this to smooth and blend in. I want this to be a little more open down there. My clay tool in my hand, I want to take and get this nice and smooth in. Everything I'm doing to my piece is when my clay is really nice and wet. So it's allowing me to add all of these things, manipulate this with ease. If your clay has started to dry, you're going to run into some issues. Now, I might use my hand to kind of show the indentation of the eyelid even more. Okay, now I need to add, he needs a bottom lid. There's Santa's eyelid. Okay, looks like he's got one of those like fancy strips that you put under your eye to reduce your puffiness, but it's not really working, Santa. You're gonna have big bags under your eyes. I'll cut that edge off. Kind of looks like a little Santa beard. Okay, and on this one I am going to slip and score, but first I'm gonna make sure that's nice and rounded. I've got some cracks down here, so I'm gonna address those. We'll just do a couple score marks, a little bit of water to get it to stick really good down here. Now, to finish the eye, I always like to do a pupil and a cornea, so I'm going to use the back of my scoring tool to do Santa's pupil. If you're making an ugly mug like this, maybe their eyes are pointing in different directions or something crazy like that. All right, and then the last thing I need to do here is the lips. So lips, if we think about it, are just coils. This is gonna be a functional mug, so I don't wanna like cut all the way into this like I would the mouth. So I just indented here, the mouth shape. I've got the chin pointing out, and I'm just doing a little lip for Santa. But you can see here for his upper lip, I rolled out a coil. I want that coil to be tapered on two sides. So I want it to be thicker in the middle than it is on the edges. And then if we think about how real human lips are, we've got this like V-shaped indent, and some of us have really plump lips, some of them are not, but then I can attach that on, okay? So now I'm going to slip and score this on. I might as well just do it on both sides to keep it even. Now as I'm pushing out and pushing in, I really want to make sure I don't end up with some really thin spots. If I end up with really thin spots, that might cause me some trouble down the road as I'm using this, because I want this to be a mug that I am able to use, okay? I'm not going to do too much more to that upper lip, except for maybe open it a little bit so it looks like Santa's smiling, because I am going to add a mustache on there, okay? Now, the next thing I'm gonna do is eyebrows. So I want this to be pushed out a little bit. I feel like what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna take one, and if I'm happy with that size and shape, I'm actually just gonna cut it in half because I don't want his eyebrows to stick out from his head too far. So if I can manage to make this work, then I've got, I might wait to add those on. I gotta get it right. Okay, now I'm gonna add some details. So there is my Santa Claus bug. I'm not too sure it looks like Santa, but you know what? Maybe when I glaze it, it will. But my goal here was for it to look as realistic as I could get it in terms of the facial features. And it is nice and smooth on the inside, so it's going to be functional. I'm going to attach a handle onto it so that I will be able to actually use it.